Good evening. We welcome you to another episode of your favorite talk show, Stephen Korean Perspectives. I'm Stephen Alexander.
And I'm your host, Corinne Harris. In today's episode, we have APSU new Director of Athletics, Gerald Harrison, to discuss his new position here at APSU. And we also have APSU Feminist Majority Leadership Alliance President, Alyssa Collier, here to discuss feminism and how her organization empowers men and women.
And in today's topic, Corinne and I will discuss a film her and I produced and recorded on the After Breast Cancer program here in Clarksville. So kick back and relax. You're in for a great show. It's SKP time.
As you know, this month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We know many of you know someone who is battling cancer, so we wanted to share some encouragement for our special viewers. SKP very own Stephen Alexander has the story.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Alexander. I'm standing right inside of the gymnasium of the First Baptist Church here in Clarksville, Tennessee, on the behalf of the After Breast Cancer program.
I am a pink trainer for the ABC program. I also am a group fitness instructor, which I have been doing for over 30 years.
When you're a breast cancer survivor, a lot of times people aren't aware of everything that you're going through. And this group of women, they've all gone through it, the same things that we have, and we can relate to each other.
I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and when I heard about the ABC program, I decided that it was time for me to join a group.
My reconstruction was a nightmare. I had like 8 surgeries in 12 months, and it's still not perfect, but it's okay. I'm okay with that. It just kind of makes you feel a little bit different.
Once they get diagnosed, they carry that diagnosis. No matter what, they will always carry that diagnosis. And just to be someone to help them and be there to listen or to do anything I can to help their journey, to be a more positive impact on them, makes a major impact on me.
Some advice that I would give to someone who's going through cancer is to not be ashamed, first of all. This just happens and nobody asks for it. And so reach out to those who are willing to give their love to you and their support to you, because we're all in this together and we've got to lift each other up.
I'm Stephen Alexander with APSU-TV News. Although this month is focused on breast cancer, all cancer is just as important. So Corinne, how can we encourage others with cancer to know they are not alone in this battle?
Well, first, I would actually say, ask them for help. And when you ask someone for help, you have to follow through.
Yes.
You can't just say, hey, would you like any help? And they tell you what they need help with, and then you don't follow up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
I think it's very important to understand who you are in the process. A lot of people forget who they are in the process. They believe that the cancer has them, but you have the cancer. It doesn't have you. I feel like you can control it. I feel like, you can control your mindset on it. Don't let it ruin who you are, because there's so many great people out here who are battling with this issue or battling a lot of things. And I just think it's important for them to know that they are still loved, they are still just important, and don't think of yourself as, oh, I'm about to die, or this is going to be my last day. Because make each moment, that's another thing I want to talk about, make each moment a moment for you, because it's like, even though, we don't want to say this is going to be your last day, we don't know when it comes to cancer. But however, I think it's important for you to understand that, just treat yourself with love and encourage yourself. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And what do you think about, I want to talk about this too, like men, for the men watching, realize that you can get cancer as well. You can get breast cancer as well. It happens a lot of the times, because my mom actually works with cancer patients at Vanderbilt. So she sees a lot of people coming in and out of, the department. She talks to the patients, and a lot of people, all they need is just words of encouragement.
Exactly.
And she's had even some men she's had to talk to, because they didn't know how to battle, this instance. So they needed some encouragement. What are your thoughts?
I would actually say, I do agree with the words of encouragement also, but when you're talking to someone with cancer, try to let their cancer diagnosis process, hold your emotions. So before you go and talk to them, just hold everything in. Well, don't necessarily hold everything in, but sit down and get your emotions together before you go talk to that person, because you don't want to be talking to someone with cancer and then you start crying and make them start crying. And also, I heard too, like some cancer survivors, they don't want you to tell them, oh, you look tired,
Yes.
or you look nice, because they know what they're going through. Let them bring up the appearance first before you just bring it up.
And I agree, because you know how some people are like, oh my goodness, like, are you okay? Are you okay? Or, you know, just saying little things, and they can sense the sincerity of that. So like you said, I think it's important that you just be sincere with them and know that although they have cancer, they're still human. Like, speak to them as normal people.
And that was going to be another point. Treat them the same as you were before.
Yeah.
Like, nothing changed. And also, like, it will help too with you planning things to do after they're done with their chemotherapy. Like, after you get done with your chemotherapy, this is where we're going. You know, cancer survivors love that.
And you know, another thing I think about for this month when we talk about breast cancer, the reason why I just talk about cancer as a whole is because I think it's just so important that people understand like how detrimental this is. Like, you know, for me, I'm pretty sure for the viewers too, you guys are aware that, you know, last year I lost my great uncle to pancreatic cancer. So still to this day, you know, that's a part of me that I carry with me. But with him, that relationship I had with him when we found out he had cancer, it never stopped. I never looked at him any differently. You know, I continued to see him as my uncle. I knew what he had, he knew what he had, but we still conversed, we still communicated, we still loved each other like we did before he had it. You get what I'm saying?
And that's one thing that people can't change. Like, if you go to talk to someone every day, continue talking to them. If y'all go and do different routines, do that. And you just got to be there for that person. And that's what some people, I think they fail to realize. You know, they kind of like pull back a little bit because they don't know what to say. And sometimes if you don't know what to say, you know, just listen, because you don't want to say the wrong thing to them.
And how can you kind of give some words of encouragement? How would you say you can give words of encouragement to someone if you knew someone with cancer?
I would say you're not alone in the process. And if I do know people who battling with cancer, so what I would do is bring in another cancer survivor and maybe talk to that person, or someone who is battling the same cancer or some type of cancer they're battling, so that way they can get their feelings out, because I don't know what it feels to have cancer, so I can't be like, I understand what you're going through, because that's one thing I hate, when people say, I know what you're going through, but have you honestly been through the situation? You don't know what it feels like until you actually been through that situations. You may have been in similar situations, which is understandable.
I think a lot of people miscommunicate when they say things that they're trying to encourage the patient, the person that has the cancer, but they over encourage and they say the wrong things. I know, like with my great uncle, like everyone's like, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. You know, it is, but sometimes it's not he doesn't want to hear that, if you get what I'm saying. He wants you to stay in the moment. And I feel like that's important too when you're talking to somebody with cancer, is just to stay in the moment.
Exactly. So you guys just remember, if anyone's out there battling with cancer, you know, just be a support system. But we must take a quick break. But coming up, we'll have APSU new athletic director Gerald Harrison. So stay tuned, you're watching SKP.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Stephen Alexander, alongside my co-host, Corrine Harris. Here with us today, we have our special guest, Gerald Harrison, who is APSU's new Director of Athletics. How are you, Mr. Harrison?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good, we're good. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I took this job August 13th, originally from Florence, South Carolina. Went to the University of Tennessee in Knoxville, and started my career there, working in football. Moved through the administration a little bit and went to Duke University for the last 10 years, and kind of moved up the ranks there before I took this job. But I enjoying every minute of it.
So did you know sports always was something that you were passionate about?
Always. I came from a family of a coach. My father's been coaching football for 45 years.
45 years?
So
That's a long time.
That is a long time.
So I've always wanted to be in and around sports, and was raised that way. In South Carolina, sports are a big thing. So we're doing, you know, so that's kind of what I did.
Okay.
So can you tell us a little bit about how the search process goes for becoming the director of athletics?
Yeah, well, you know, it's really a funny thing. Austin Peay hired a search firm, which is very popular when you hire executive positions. And collegiate sports was a group that they hired with Todd Turner. Reached out to me and asked me if I had any interest of talking to Dr. White about the opportunity at Austin Peay. I said, of course, you know, I did. It's a very popular school, and a place that had a lot of tradition. And after spending time in the University of Tennessee, I knew about Clarksville a little bit, and knew a little bit about Austin Peay, and wanted to learn more. And so we went through that process, and From the time they contacted me to the time that I took the job is probably a 2-week period, maybe. So it went pretty quick. It went pretty quick, yeah.
So how did you know APSU was the right decision for you?
Well, I didn't really until I came to campus. My first trip to campus, got in a day early before the interview, walked around, met some outstanding people that were in the commons area, in the bookstore, and everybody was really friendly, from the janitors all the way to the professors and people that I met. And I said, man, this place feels like home. And it reminded me of my little town back in South Carolina. I felt very comfortable. So I knew this place had great potential and a great leadership with Dr. White and a place that I wanted to be.
Okay. So what are some things you're willing to, looking to change or bring new to the athletics department?
Well, one thing I like to bring is I'm an energetic type person.
Okay.
And so I want to bring a good bit of energy and reinstill the pride that we have in the Governor Nation. And that's one of the things that we're working toward doing. I think we've hired a really good team that will do the same thing. We have some facilities that we need to improve on for our student athlete experience. And we're starting on that this year with the softball stadium and men's basketball locker room and some other projects that we have going on across campus. And so really everything that I do is going to be centered around the student athlete and their experience, making sure that they have the best opportunity they can have here at Austin Peay.
So do you meet with the students as well about your changes that you're thinking about making, or is this something that you and your colleagues meet about?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I spend a lot of time with our students. We have the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, SAC. I met with them actually last night and had a great conversation with them about some of the things that they want. And I listened to their coaches and some of the things that they think they need to recruit outstanding student athletes to Austin Peay. And I listened to the ones that we have here. And in between that and then what we come up with as a staff, that's kind of how we decide what our next steps are going to be.
Okay.
So how do you plan to use your learning experience from Duke University and UT to help with your job here at APSU?
Well, every institution is different, but there are some things that I take great pride in. At Duke, we had very much a Olympic Village mentality, where we wanted success for all 27 of our sports there, and I want success for all 16 of our student athletes here at Austin Peay. So one thing I learned is that every sport is equally valued, whether it's football or tennis or women's basketball or golf. We all want to be successful in everything that we do and prepare them for a long-term future after they finish competing on the field, on the court, or what have you. And that really kind of took off for me at Duke, and I saw it work, where you had outstanding academics and athletics at play, and that's the same kind of mission that we're going to have here at Austin Peay in our athletics department.
Okay. My next question, I want to go back to the sports thing. I know you said that your father has been a coach for 45 years.
Yep.
So how has sports become a passion for you? Do you think he helped aid it in that process?
Oh, absolutely. I was that young person at Halloween who wanted to dress up and be their father and dress up in the coaching shorts and the gear and run around the football practice field with him. And I saw the impact that coaches and staff can have on student athletes. And I said, early on that was something that I wanted to do. And I just kind of took the steps necessary to do that. I knew I was either going to be a high school coach in a small town or be an administrator. And my time at University of Tennessee showed me that the administration side was kind of where I wanted to go.
Okay. So I also read a statement where you mentioned with any new situations, there are challenges. Can you give us a description of what that means?
Well, I think anywhere you go, there's going to be a challenge. I mean, even producing an outstanding show like this, I'm sure there's times where something doesn't work just right, or there's something that you want to be just a little bit better. And I feel the same way about this challenge at Austin Peay. There's some things that we do really well. I mean, man, I love our spirit.
Yes.
I love our student athletes. I'm learning to hold monocle up. I'm learning all of these things. But there are some things that we could be better at. And then one, we got to be more fiscally responsible. And we got to expand our opportunities for our student athletes by increasing our budget through our revenue streams. So that's a challenge for us. But that's one that we're going to meet head on and run right into it.
Right, absolutely. So lastly, what advice would you give students who are willing, they're looking for, they have a dream, they just don't know how to pursue it?
Okay. Well, I think the first thing I tell people to do first is know who you are. I think a lot of times people talk about what they want to be, or they see something they want to mimic, whether it's a great athlete or a celebrity or anything like that. I would put a pause on that
Okay.
I think the first thing you should do is know who you are and really examine and be comfortable with who you are as a person and as an individual. Then you can craft your dream, because nobody can determine what success is for you but you. I may feel like success is making a lot of money. Well, you may feel like success is having a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 kids and getting them up and working at McDonald's. That's your level of success.
That's true.
So everybody has to do that for themselves, but it starts with knowing who you are.
That's so true.
Exactly, because you know, some people don't think about that. Because we do have some people that we know the parents be like, you're going to be a teacher or you're going to be a lawyer, and that's what you're going to do. But
And
if
it's sad.
Yeah,
It really is.
if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to put your all into it.
Not going to do well at it at all. And one thing I was very fortunate, my parents didn't force me in any direction. If I decided I wanted to be a teacher, they would have been fine with that. If an athletic administrator, they were good with that, or whatever it had to be. And so I really encourage people to find out who they are first, and then determine their path.
And I would also like to add to that too, if you feel like you want to go into sports, anything, do internships or work with someone in that field to see if that's really what you want to do. I used to say I want to do marketing, but it's just almost like, once I started doing it, I was like, maybe communications would be the right route for me, because I was doing experience in that field.
And you have to, another thing I want to say about that too is you have to kind of push yourself. I think a lot of students don't know how to push themselves to be the best and do the best they can for themselves.
Right.
So what advice would you give for that?
Well, you can't be afraid to work. I think the biggest challenge we have nowadays is everyone looks for the clock. You know, it's like, oh, I work 8 to 5, or I have a 4-hour shift. And sometimes they don't want to work the extra 5, 10 minutes, the extra hour, the extra 2 hours. And I think that's a difference that you see now that wasn't necessarily the case when I came up. When I started at the University of Tennessee, we never asked for overtime or asked hours. We worked for the experience and the opportunity with one day hopes to be the next. And nowadays, what I find in our hiring processes, when you talk to young folks, well, how much am I getting paid? How long do I have to work? What am I getting out of this? And they miss the opportunities, because most of the great opportunities at work come after your shift is over.
Right.
It's when you volunteer for something you don't have to do. It's when you figure out whether you truly have a passion for it.
Exactly.
And then you succeed at what you're doing.
And I want to keep that in mind, because that's something that I've always fine-tuned within myself. I never wanted to have a job where I felt like, oh, how much am I getting paid? How much am I wanted to be passionate about being there, you know, because you get paid for what you do, but it's not about being, getting paid. It's about being happy and fulfilling that job to the best of your ability.
Absolutely. I have yet to feel like, with all we got going on, I haven't been to work yet. And that's the best part about it.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing about being here in Clarksville and being at Austin Peay.
That's how we want to feel. When we started to go into our, right now we feel like we're at home.
Right. We are at home, practically, right? Well, we thank you for coming to the show today.
Well, we must take a break, but up next we'll have APSU president of FMLA, Alyssa Collier, here to chat with us. So stay tuned. You're watching SKP. Welcome back. I'm your host, Corinne Harris, along with my co-host, Stephen Alexander. Our guest today is Alyssa Collier, who is the president of the Feminist Majority Leadership Alliance organization here on APSU campus, which is known as FMLA. She's here to discuss how her organization helps empower young women and men. So how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing good. Thank you for coming to the show today.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am a senior at Austin Peay. I'm graduating a little early. I'm from Clarksville, Tennessee, and I am a psychology major, so I would love to be a clinical therapist at the end of my educational journey.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about FMLA? Can you tell us what that entails?
FMLA is an organization here at Austin Peay that advocates for the equality for women, the educational and leadership development of women, and most importantly, the empowerment of women and girls in all sectors of society. So whether it be race, sexual orientation, economic status, and things of that nature.
So what does feminism mean, and how do you educate your organization and our community on what it means?
I believe that there's a negative connotation to the word feminism and being a feminist. Feminism solely means that you believe in the equality for women. So what FMLA does on campus to educate our community is through the events that we hold. So we hold things such as the Clothesline Project, and that's where we hold, we display the T-shirts that are designed by domestic violence victims, members of the LGBTQ community, and just show that there is a community of broken people that have found power through what has happened to them.
That Clothing Line project actually happened this month.
Yes, it did, on October 10th. Yes, it did.
Because it's usually located outside the UC. I was walking,
that's
I was
right.
like, I think,
Okay.
and the T-shirts have so many powerful meanings on them. Like I was just walking, I was like, okay, I can't read it too long. I'm on the clock at work, so just read a little bit behind it.
Yeah, and as just like October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, it's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So we try to do it in October and at least once a month in spring semester as well.
I want to know how the chapter empowers people on campus. I know we talk about men and women. How does the chapter empower people?
We empower people by just the way that we carry ourselves. We always let members and other people who know about FMLA that when they talk to us and when they come to our events and when they come to our meetings, that they are in a safe place. They are free to do whatever they want, act the way they are, and just be themselves. It's hard to do that in today's society, and we are the most welcoming people.
Perfect.
That is good to know. So I know FMLA helps women and men that are going or have been a victim of sexual violence. What advice can you give to our viewers who are going through or have been through a situation like this?
FMLA members, we are equipped with the tools and knowledge about our resources here around Clarksville. So for example, we encourage telling someone first, whether it be someone, a professor, campus police. We also have other resources, non-legal resources such as the Sexual Assault Center on campus, and we also have counseling services. We definitely encourage counseling services. It's always great to seek professional help.
So what advice, since we talked about this a couple of episodes ago, what advice would you give students or anyone who's struggling to even just talk about this? Because it's, it's something that you can't just really just talk about because sometimes you don't feel comfortable. So how can you feel comfortable enough to talk about it?
I think it's when you find it's never comfortable. It will never be comfortable, but definitely talking about it, just find the courage to talk about it. Things get resolved better and you can work through your issues when you're talking. You get better advice, you get better insight, you find yourself, because sometimes in these situations of assault, you do lose yourself and it's hard to, handle it on your own.
Right.
So talking with someone and speaking and getting through it, with someone else is always
helpful.
Always helpful.
Well, thank you for coming to the show. For our viewers, thanks for watching today. See, we talked about messing up.
He's just hungry, that's all.
I'm hungry, y'all. Can y'all please feed me? But again, thanks for watching today. You can tune in to us next Thursday at 3 p.m. What's the channels?
CDE Channel 9, Spectrum 192, and Uverse 99 in Middle Tennessee. And if you cannot catch us live, you can watch the episode on YouTube under APSU-TV/SKP. We'll see you next Thursday with more news and entertainment. So always remember to
let's go P.
I was about to say, let's go SKP.
Oh my goodness.